G'day gamers, Ranger Tony here with another Pathfinder KingMaker build video. So today we're going to look at a Halfling Knife Master Rogue. This build in particular is going to emphasize the sneak attack abilities of the Rogue as much as possible. So I'm going to do a full build all the way through to level 20. All of the feats that we're going to pick are going to be designed not to maximize normal weapon damage, but to give us the best chance to do sneak attack, because that's where the advantage of the Rogue is. Sneak attack is everything. Very, very quickly, your sneak attack damage outdoes any damage you do with any other normal damage that you do with your weapon. So we're going to work on that as much as possible. And in particular, to make this work really well, we're using several teamwork feats. So this will work really well if you have two rogues set up like this, or at least one other character that you give the same teamwork feats to, so that you can maximize this rogue's chance of doing sneak attacks. So let's dive on in. I've said we're doing a halfling. And we're going to pick the Rogue. Now, we're doing the Knife Master. If you haven't seen the Knife Master before, you specialize in using knives. When you're using a dagger, kukri, punching dagger, star knife, or sai, you will do D8s rather than D6s for sneak damage. It basically means that at level 20, rather than doing 6d6, so 6 to 60 points of sneak attack damage, sorry, not 6d6, 10d6, so rather than doing 10 to 60 points of sneak attack damage, you're doing 10d8s, 10 to 80 points of sneak attack damage. That's potentially a whole 20 more points of damage every attack. So we're going to be taking that, and we're going to be maximizing, as I said, seeing if we can do as much sneak attack damage as possible. The ability scores, these are going to be pretty well similar to what I've done before with rogues. So we're playing the halfling, incidentally, because the halfling's not going to have any significant disadvantage. Doing it using a dagger as a halfling, you'll do 1d3 points of damage rather than 1d4. That's the only difference, but you're going to have the advantage of, first of all, it's finessable, so you're going to use your dex to hit. You're going to be using with the finesse training that you get at level 3, you're going to be using your dex to add damage as well, and that's all good. But even once you get that ability at 3rd level, so if we put 18 in our dex here, that means we're getting a +4. So that means our damage, if we're doing 1d3 of damage from a dagger, that will be 4 to 7 points. Yes, 4 to 7 points of damage from that dagger per attack. But if that's a sneak attack, we'll be adding 2 d8s worth of damage to that. So we're doing almost double the damage already. And we are doing more than double the damage, we're doing 16 points, at maximum of 16 points of damage. So we're doing double the damage just from our sneak attack, and it's only going to get better from then. So improving the damage of our weapon doesn't help us much. We're going to get 1 or 2 points of extra damage here. Instead, we want to be able to do sneak attacks more often and see if there's ways that we can do a little bit more damage with the sneak attack, and I'll show you those in the build. So we're going to start with 18 dex, of course. We're also going to want 16 con. Constitution is very nice for rogues because they don't have quite as many hit points. We're going to put our strength here to 10. We're going to put our intelligence to 13. That gives us access to a couple of extra feats. So that's our ability scores as we're going to use them. From here, then we've got to pick our skills. I'm going to pick the 3 dex ones, mobility, trickery, and stealth. They're pretty well standard that you would want for any rogue. We're then going to take perception, persuasion, and use magical device. Use magical device just opens us up to be able to use scrolls and things that we wouldn't normally be able to use. Just helps a little bit with healing between battles and stuff like that. Persuasion as your main character is a good idea, and I always like to max perception as much as possible, and thankfully this is a class which has a bonus to perception, so we're doing well to start off with. Feats. So, how do we maximize our chance of doing sneak attacks? Well, first of all, we take 2-weapon fighting. With 2-weapon fighting, we get an extra attack. Now, we do lose some of our ability. It puts penalties on our to hit. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem initially, but we're going to work around that with a couple of extra skills. But really, the more attacks we can do per round, the more chances we can sneak attack. So that's what I'm going for. Not necessarily to hit better, but let's get more attacks in there. And because we are at first level, we're going to get sneak attack. And we're just going to call this guy Pierce. Oops, helps if I actually... Pierce, and we're going to go chaotic good. Alright, I'm going to make a little cut here, and we're going to come back and start leveling up from level 1. So, be right back. Okay, so, at level 2 then, we are going to... Now, I'm going to always leave persuasion as the one that I don't level up between levels, because I don't have enough intelligence to be able to get all 6 skills leveled up at the same time. But this will be fixed at level 20 with a nice little trick that I'll show you. So we're going to take straight up weapon focus, which gives us a +1 to hit with that weapon, and of course we're going to be using dagger, so we're going to do that. Now, if you're playing a Knife Master and you want to do something that's not piercing damage, unfortunately the only option you have is the kukri, and to do that you need to have martial weapon ability. So at this point you could take combat trick and pick weapon martial weapon proficiency, which would allow you to take kukri, and then later on you could do that. But for now, or if you're playing a human, for example, you could take that straight up. For now, I'm going to stick with dagger. I'll have other party members that are not using piercing weapons, so that will be fine. So we also get evasion at this level, so that gives us a little bit of help to our reflex save, and so that's nice. Level 3 then. The main feat that we're going to be taking here. Now, they recommend Piranha Strike. It's not worth taking, okay? So you take a -1 penalty to your attack roll and get a +2 bonus to your melee damage rolls. So that's +2 bonus. But if you're using 2-weapon fighting, that's halved. So you'll get a -1 penalty on attack to get a +1 bonus on damage. That +1, and then that +1 goes up every 4 base attack bonuses that you get. Now, you don't get a base attack bonus increase every level. It's like you get, I think it's like 2 increase every 3 levels, or 3 increase every 4 levels, or something like that. It's not an even amount. It's not a full amount. So it'll take you a little while to get that bonus, and all that does is double the penalty and double the bonus. So in the long run, you're only going to have maybe a +3 bonus to damage, which is nothing when you talk about the amount of sneak attack damage you're doing. So don't take something like Piranha Strike, okay? So instead, I'm going to take combat expertise. Sorry, I should have. So I can take a -1 penalty to attack and combat maneuver checks to gain a +1 to my dodge. So this is going to protect me instead. It's a penalty to my hit, and I can turn it off if I don't want to use it, but it's a penalty to my hit and my combat maneuvers, but it gives me an armor class bonus, and that's going to be nice. We also have our finesse training, and this is where we really stand out. This is where we can add our dex to our damage roll. Again, it's not a huge bonus for us because sneak attack is everything, but we're going to take it. We get it for free, so... And we're going to do that in Dagger. Later on, we're going to be picking whatever we want as far as weapons, because we're not going to use those weapons anyway, but we can take it. And that's fine. So we also get Blade Sense, and this is an extra dodge bonus, 1 to AC, for every 3 levels, if we're being attacked by someone else using light blades, daggers, kukris, etc. So that's really helpful. And that goes up to +6 at level 18. I'll point out each level when we get those bonuses. Okay, so that's level 3 set up. Level 4, we get our first ability point increase. So that's going to, of course, go into Dex. We're going to do everything in Dex. We want to get this modifier up as high as possible because that helps out to hit. If we can hit more, we can do more sneak attack damage. We don't care really that this is improving our actual damage with our dagger because it doesn't affect our sneak attack damage. Let's just quickly go through our skills. That's all good. Now, what are we going to take here? Well, there's a lot of these rogue talents that are really nice and useful. We're never going to use them. These focused attacks, they help you. So if you were confused, shaken, or sickened, when you successfully do a sneak attack, you lose that ability. And that is nice. I mean, if you put that, particularly the sickened one, if you put that on early, when you're going through the old Sycamore Caves and you get all of those centipedes and the spiders, and they're always making you poisoned, I think this can help, although maybe sicken I think is different from poison, so maybe it doesn't. But I don't bother using these because they don't improve our sneak attack damage. Fast stealth, no, not going to help us. None of these other ones are really going to help our sneak attack damage. So we're going to take a combat trick, and we're going to, again, we said no to Piranha Strike. We're going to come down here, and we're going to take the first of our teamwork feats. We're going to take Precise Strike. So what does this do? This does essentially more sneak attack damage. So when I'm flanking an enemy with an ally who has precise attack with me, then I deal an additional 1 to 6 points of precision damage with each successful melee attack. So this means I can do 1d6 of essentially sneak attack damage without actually having to do a sneak attack. But because I'm flanking, it's basically just adding an extra 1d6 to my sneak attack in reality. Unfortunately, it doesn't buff up to 1d8 like normal sneak attack does for me, but even 1d6 extra will be good. And if you give it to any other party member who is a melee character, as long as you're both going for the same target and you've got them flanked, you'll get this bonus. But if you've got 2 rogues, then you're going to be doing huge amounts of sneak attack damage. So we're going to take that. We also, at this level, get debilitating injury, which allows us to bewilder, disorient, or hamper an opponent. Because none of these remove their dex from their AC. They give them a penalty, but they don't actually remove it. It's not clear. It doesn't make them more susceptible to sneak attack. So we're not going to be using, I don't recommend using any of those debilitating injuries. You get them for free, but don't turn them on, really, because what they do is they remove 1 dice of sneak attack damage to give them a negative status effect. But while that negative status effect might help, it might slow them down, whatever, it doesn't increase your chance to sneak attack them from then on. So don't use them. So you get that, and we also get Uncanny Dodge, which means that if we are caught flat-footed, we don't lose our dex bonus to AC. So that is helpful. So we get those automatically. We don't have to do anything about those, but that's what we get at level 4. Level 5. So this is when we start really affecting our chances to do sneak attack. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come down here and we're going to take Trip. So Trip is a combat maneuver. You attempt to trip your opponent in place of your melee attack. So you give up an attack, but when we do, we knock them prone, which means they are then susceptible to sneak attack. So the idea is that I can knock them prone and they can then be snuck attack. If you've got multiple rogues in your party, as long as one of them trips, the rest can all sneak attack. So that's what we're going to do there. We also get a bonus to our sneak attack damage here at level 5, so we're now up to 3d8 of sneak attack damage as long as we're using a dagger. I wish it would show you that increase here, but they don't. Level 6. Level 6, again, we're getting rogue talents. Again, we're going to take combat trick. And this time we're going to take one of their recommendations. Because we've already got Trip, we're going to take Fury's Fall. And what does this do? This allows us to use our dexterity bonus to improve the chances of Trip working. So now we're even better at tripping our opponents. And we also get Blade Sense level 2. So we now get a +2 to armor class against light blades. Level 7. We're going to go for another teamwork feat here, and this one's going to help us a lot. It's called Outflank. So this will allow us, along with an ally, to get a +4 to our attack rolls when flanking. Okay? In addition, when we score a critical hit, it gives an attack of opportunity to our ally. So that is really good. We get the potential of being able to flank them easier. If we crit when we flank, then our allies get an attack of opportunity against that opponent, and we're going to be using attack of opportunities as much as possible as well. So we're going to take out flank, and that, as well as our sneak attack, is now 4d8s. So 4 to, 32 points of sneak attack damage. You can see, compared to the amount of damage that an individual dagger does, that is now very, very good. We don't care that our dagger is only doing, what did I say, 5 to 7 points of damage at the moment, because we are a halfling and it's down to 1d3 points of damage from a dagger. So we're doing 5 to 7 points of damage. That's nothing when we're doing 4 to 32 points of, so almost 5 times that maximum amount of damage from the sneak attack. Level 8 Rogue. We are going to take another point of dex, giving us now a +5 to hit, and a +5 to damage, and a +5 to our armor class, and a +5 to our trip, thanks to Fury's Fall. And again, we get a rogue talent, so you guessed it, we're going to take a combat trick, and this time we could take greater trip, and we will a little bit later, but right now it's better that we take improved 2-weapon fighting, because now we can get a second attack with our offhand weapon. So we've already, at this round, this level, our base attack bonus, I believe, is enough that we now get 2 attacks per round, and that would be 3 attacks per round with normal 2-weapon fighting, because we get a second attack from our... We get 2 attacks with our normal hand, our on-hand, and our off-hand gets 1 attack from 2-weapon fighting. Improved 2-weapon fighting gives us a second attack with our off-hand, so we're doing 4 attacks per round. More chances to do sneak attack. Okay, so we can now see we have 2 melee attacks per round, which become 4 because we've got improved 2-weapon fighting. And we also get improved uncanny dodge. So we can no longer be flanked. We lose all flanking bonuses, and we can't be sneak attacked unless the rogue that's attacking us has more than 4 levels more of rogue. So that is a really nice ability for us. It protects us a lot. Not that we're probably going to be attacked by a lot of rogues, but you never know. Okay, level 9. So, what are we going to take here? Well, there's actually a few different things that we could take here. Greater Trip, we could take it. It is recommending it. But what I want to do first is I want to come down here and I want to get another teamwork feat. And that is Tandem Trip. So this one just makes it even easier for us to do a trip. If we do this, we're basically working together with an opponent to trip. And you have 2 rolls, and whichever's the better one, you use. So we're going to take that first, and then later when we get the chance, we'll take Greater Trip. So we've got Tandem Trip. We're also now 5d8s of sneak damage. 5 to 40 points of sneak damage. Again, you can see how this is just overwhelming the amount of damage that we can do with our dagger. No sense trying to buff that in any way. And our blade sense. Sorry, we've also got our blade sense up to level 3. So we get a +3 to armor class against other light blades, daggers, etc. Level 10. Halfway there, guys. Level 10 Rogue. Knife Master in this case. We now start getting some new Rogue talents. And quite frankly, none of them are really all that good. They still don't make your opponent any more likely to be sneak attacked. So, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to take another combat trick. There is still Greater Trip here. I did say I'm going to take it soon. You can mix and match some of these around a little bit if you want to take Greater Trip sooner so that you trip a little bit more often. That's fine. But I'm going to pick Combat Reflexes. Right? What this one does is it increases the number of attacks of opportunity we can make per round to be equal to our dex bonus. Now, our dex bonus is +5 at this point. So we can do 5 sneak attacks, attacks of opportunity per round. So we're going to take that one first. That will because each of those could be a sneak attack. So we want to get that in there now. Just increase those chances. That's all we get that round, really. There's no other bonuses to anything else. Level 11. Okay. So we're showing a few different things here. Improve critical. Look, increasing the range of our critical will be nice, but let's just look at the figures here. So, yeah, sure. The critical range on a dagger is 19 to 20. Doubling that will make it 17 to 20. Which I can't work out that percentage in my head, but It's about 20%. So there's a 20% chance on every hit that we are going to do a critical. But the critical range for a dagger, the critical damage, is only twice. And if we're doing, a +5, so we're doing 6 to 8 points of damage. Double that, 12 to 16. And yet, this level, we go to 68s of sneak attack damage. That's 6 to 42 points of damage. It's not worth improving our crits that much. And it's only making it, it's not improving the amount of damage we do by crits. It's just making it a little bit more likely that we will crit. The crit damage will be nice if we crit and sneak attack at the same time. Sure, that extra 12 points of damage or 16 points of damage could be nice. 12 to 16 points of damage will be nice. Sure, but, we're really trying to improve our chances to sneak attack. So what we're going to do is, I did say we're going to do graded trip at some point, and we still are, but we're still trying to improve our chances to do the trip. So agile maneuvers allows us to add our dexterity bonus to our base attack bonus and size bonus when determining our combat maneuver bonus. I don't know if this may be the one thing where the game sort of doesn't quite work out, because we've already got Fury's Fall, which is adding a dex bonus to trip only. This is adding dex bonus just to the combat maneuver. So I'm hoping it stacks, but it's not clear that it should, but it doesn't specifically say that it does or doesn't. So if it works out that one doesn't work, maybe it's not a good idea to take, but that's what we're going to take. Finesse training, we have to pick another weapon here. It doesn't really matter what we pick, but I'm going to pick the only other weapon. I'm going to pick the other weapons that I can actually use. So punching dagger and sai. It doesn't mention star knife for some reason, but star knife is one of the weapons that you can use as a rogue, as a knife master. So I'm going to pick punching dagger. I'm probably never going to use it because I don't have weapon focus in it, and there's really very little difference between the punching dagger and the normal dagger, except that one has a lower, it only crits on a 20. That's it. So that's what we're going to pick there. And as I said, our sneak attack is now up to 6d8s. Level 12. And we get another point into our dex. Doesn't increase our modifier because it's only to 21, but we're doing good. So we'll keep that up. You guessed it, another combat trick, guys, but we're finally now going to take greater trip. So we now get a +2 bonus to trip. So basically, we get our normal combat maneuver things, but we get our dex bonus added on because we have Fury's Fall. We replace our normal strength bonus with dex bonus thanks to agile maneuvers. And then because we have tandem trip, we can work with an opponent to trip, and we get to basically roll twice and pick the best result. So that's a pretty good advantage right there. We're also getting Blade Sense at level 4 now, so that's +4 to our armor class against daggers and other light blades. So we're doing pretty good. Level 13 Rogue. Okay. So, first of all, our sneak attack goes up to level 7. So 7d8s. 7 to 56 points of sneak attack damage per hit if we can get a sneak attack off. What are we going to pick for our combat feat here? So we're going to pick coordinated maneuvers, another teamwork feat. So if I'm an adjacent to, if I've got another ally with me, we get a +2 bonus to our combat maneuvers. So this means when we go to do the trip, we've now got another +2 on top of all the other bonuses that I've talked about. So we're going to be able to trip even more often. Level 14 Rogue. So we're going to take another combat trick here yet again. And what we're going to do down here is we're going to take Seize the Moment. What this one does, and this is going to work on the back of which one was it? I can't remember which one it was now. This, when an ally confirms a critical hit, I get an attack of opportunity. So we had the ability previously, the combat reflexes, which gave us the ability to make a multiple of sneak attack, a multiple of attacks of opportunity per round equal to our dex bonus. So we can now currently do 5 attacks of opportunity. And I think there was one of the other feats, I forget which one it was now, that when we did some of the combat, the trips or whatever it was, we gave our ally the ability to do a sneak attack. Well, we're now sort of getting that back. So Seize the Moment is the big one that we're going to do here. That's really all we get this level. But again, it's just helping us to get off more attacks where we can potentially do sneak attacks. Level 15. So we're going to take Greater 2-Weapon Fighting here. So at this point, we're also getting our 3rd attack per round. That's the most we're going to get. So this gets us now to basically 6 attacks per round, plus the possibility of 5 attacks of opportunity. Which means we're going to be a busy little beaver at that point, particularly if there's a lot of people around us, but we can't be flanked. So that is useful as well. Oh, and we also had our sneak attack was at 8d8s, so 8 to 64 points of damage, and our blade sense went up to level 5, so +5 armor class against light blades. So level 16 Rogue now, we get our second last point that we can add to abilities, so we're going to get that into Dex, and we're now at +6. Now, of course, by this stage, you probably already have something that's giving you increased Dex, and so you may even be higher than this at this point. You might be 7, 8, +7 or +8 at that point, but I'm just working directly off these figures. Let's do that. Now, there's lots of combat feats we can still take, and you could definitely take this one way earlier if you wanted to, but we're running out of ones right now that allow us to improve our abilities to get sneak attacks off. So the rest of these are going to be a little bit more protective. So this one's just dodge. It increases our dodge armor class. We've already had a couple of things that increased our dodge in various ways, our evasion and uncanny dodge and improved uncanny dodge, as well as our blade sense, things like that. So this is just going to increase our AC. As I said, if you feel like you need to, you can take this way earlier. If you're playing a human, you could take it at level 1 if you wanted to. So that was all we got at that level. Level 17 Rogue. So we're going to take combat mobility here. So this gives us another +4 dodge bonus against attacks of opportunity when we move through a threatened area. And we don't lose our dex bonus to armor class like we normally would. So that's going to help us as we move around during combat. And our sneak attack has gone up to 9d8s. 9 to 72 points of damage. As you can see here, that's still just massively eclipsing the amount of damage our dagger itself does. Okay, so level 18, we are going to take another combat trick. And again, this is another one you could take earlier if you really wanted to, but we're going to take Blind Fight, which means that we don't lose some of our dex bonuses to AC when we can't see the opponent properly. And we also got our last Blade Sense bonus. We're now up to the full +6 to AC against light blades, so that's going to be very nice as well. Level 19, we're almost there, guys. Sorry this video has taken so long. So we might as well finish off with Improved Blind Fight, since we already took that. And we get one more finesse training, and we're going to take, as I said, the only other weapon that we could potentially use, the Sai. Now, if you're not playing this build is perfectly valid for any rogue, okay? You don't have to be a Knife Master. The only difference is the Knife Master gets this D8s rather than D6s for the sneak attacks, and they get this Blade Sense ability. So you won't get that as a standard rogue. But these finesses, you definitely get, and you should pick weapons that you want to use. And you're probably better off picking, like if you were doing short sword or rapier as your main weapon, I would then pick something like light mace and maybe hand axe or something like that, so that you've got a slashing and a bludgeoning weapon as well as a piercing weapon, so that you can swap things out if you need to. You're not going to have weapon focus in everything, but just having, say, one slashing and one bludgeoning weapon, so wielding a light mace and a hand axe, for example, would be good, because you're doing different types of damage. It mixes up the sorts of damage that you're doing in case your opponents are invulnerable to certain types of damage. Okay, so that was level 19, and also that's also the last improvement. So our sneak attack is now at full damage. It's at a full 10d8, 10 to 80 points of damage per round per sneak attack. We have a full 6 attacks per round thanks to our 2 weapon fighting abilities, 6 opportunities to be doing sneak attacks, and a full 6 attacks of opportunity possible per round, meaning that theoretically we could do 12 attacks per round, and if we're lucky and all of those were sneak attacks, that would be an insane amount of damage. So we're on the last level now, guys. Level 20. What are we going to do here? We do get one more point. So here's the thing. If we add one more point to Dex, it only puts us to 23. It doesn't increase our modifier. Here's where it becomes interesting. Put it into intelligence. What does that do? That immediately gives us 10 more points of skill points to use. So what can we do there? Simple. We can have all of our skills at 20 now. And there we go. So that's what we're going to do there. And then we're going to take a final combat trip greater blind fight, which just makes you even better at fighting in darkness, etc., and gives you a better armor class bonus, all of that sort of good stuff. So we're basically just maximizing our possibilities in every possible way, and we are given Master Strike. I don't know how good this feature really is, but it just basically gives, every time you do a sneak attack, there is a chance that you can just outright kill your opponent if they fail a fortitude save. But it only works once per day per opponent. But it does just mean that there's, it's not a 50-50 chance because they've got to make the save, but that first sneak attack you do on every opponent, there's a good chance it could just kill them straight up. And that's why I've been focusing partly on sneak attack. So that's our character, guys. All 20 levels of him. We can see here that we get 3 attacks. Sorry. 1 second. We'll come back and I'll show you all of the features here. So here you can see our stats then. Under melee, we're getting 6 attacks per round. Plus 21, plus 16, plus 11 to hit there. Same on our offhand. We're doing 7 to 9 points of damage with our primary hand and 4 to 6 points of damage with our offhand. So 6 attacks per round. We've got all of these bonuses to trip, which increase our chances of doing sneak attack. We're doing 10d8's worth of damage of sneak attack by the end here. It's just, this is the Sneak Attack Master. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like and share it with your friends. Leave any comments, what you think about this build down below, what I could have done differently. And I'll see you for the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.